Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, the fourth movie. Now we're on a roll. This movie was released in November again, for some reason, and starred everyone from the previous films again, and it left stuff out from the book. Again! I'm sorry, it's not that I don't like this movie. It's probably my second favorite behind Part 2. But there's still so much stuff that they cut out. For instance, the Quidditch World Cup. That was the biggest disappointment. I expected a huge, exciting game, but instead I got this rushed scene ending with that ridiculous Death Eater's attack. It feels so rushed and puts a hole in your stomach. I also think Sirius Black should have had a bigger role. He only appears in one scene in the movie, and that's when his face appeared in the fireplace. What else? The House Elves. They weren't in this movie either, and I actually think they played a bit of a role in the film as well. But without them, the movie just seems dull. Instead of Harry meeting Winky at the Quidditch World Cup and Dobby in the library, Neville replaces all of them in every scene. Oh, so now they're giving Neville more scenes? After he was barely in the other movies? Also, who the hell is this guy? Is it Professor Flitwick? What the smeg happened to him? He was an old git in the first two films, but now he looks like he drank the Fountain of Youth. Or Leprechaun found him and said, "Hey, I make you young." Yeah, never mind. As for the ending, oh boy. Once I saw that maze, my heart was pounding with excitement, and it still pounds to this day. Seeing Voldemort come back from the dead and seeing his new face is just jaw-dropping. It's a very good effect all done with CGI, and trust me, before I saw this movie, I was just wondering, what is Voldemort going to look like? Was he going to look just like he did in the first movie? No, he's completely different. And Ralph Fiennes did a damn good job playing him. I'm serious. He made him sound so evil and so slick. It's terrifying. I thought the new characters were pretty good too. I liked Mad-Eye Moody. I knew they could never pull out that eye effect. They had to use an eye patch. And Cedric Diggory was pretty cool too. Until Pettigrew killed him and then he fecked off to Twilight. There are a few deleted scenes in this movie, but trust me, I would not look at them. They suck. They're not even scenes from the book. It's basically they're singing the Hogwarts anthem crappy. There's one scene where Moody is talking to Harry at the lake, and then there's this one scene where there are people making out in carts, and it just looks stupid. But one thing to say about this movie, though, it shows how the kids are growing up and maturing after 4 years of making Harry Potter films. I liked how much screen time Neville got after he was pretty ignored in the last few films. Another issue is the PG-13 rating over the PG rating of the first three films. Well, if the movie was only PG, it wouldn't have been so dark. So overall, this movie isn't that bad. It's actually pretty good. But nonetheless, I give it 3.5 out of 5. Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, the fifth and longest book in the series at 870 pages. This, without a doubt, is my favorite book. It's action-packed, there's a lot of great characters, and quite a bit of character development. As for the movie, I just have one thing to say. What the smeg? The first problem I have with this movie, much of the action from the book is cut out in the movie to make way for plot and character development. The biggest hog in this movie is Dolores Umbridge. And I swear, I think she was the one who wrote the screenplay. Much of the movie is just her controlling the school and torturing everyone. Also, the movie is way too short. Compared to the other movies, which range from 3 to 4 hours long, Harry Potter 5 is 2.5 hours long. I mean, come on! How can the longest book in the series have the shortest movie? There's so much cut out, it's not funny. Quidditch is cut out completely, which is a shame because Ron was going to be goalkeeper in it, since he was goalkeeper in the book. There's no points or hints pointing to how the Dementor came to Surrey, and the Ministry of Magic scene at the end was just way too rushed. Where's the rotating room with all the doors? Where's the brains in the jar? How come there's no parts of Harry and Neville fighting people? It's just... Why is it over so smegging quickly? Other than that, I did think the new characters were good. Helena Bonham Carter was good as Bellatrix Lestrange, and I can't think of any other actress who could do it better than her. And Luna Lovegood was also good too, and she certainly was loony. But seriously, this movie would have been better off if it was maybe another hour or so longer, and much of it had action and plot, and that Margaret fecking Thatcher wouldn't hog it up so much. Other than that, 3 out of 5. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we come to Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, the 6th book in the series. Let me start off by saying this. I actually think the Half-Blood Prince is the weakest entry in the Harry Potter series. To me, it just seemed a bit boring, and the story kind of dragged on a bit with all those stupid flashbacks with Tom Riddle. Also, the snogging. Oh, God, the snogging. Oh, boy. The MPAA gave this movie a PG rating instead of PG-13 like the last couple of movies. I can understand that, since it's not as dark as the last two, but I just question the make-out scenes in this movie. Like, I count like 5 in the book. I gave away the book a while ago, but everywhere you looked, it says snogging, 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 kissing. Oh boy, this is exciting. The good news is, there is Quidditch in this movie. Yay! And now it starts to make sense. Director David Yates didn't want to have Quidditch in the last movie because he didn't want the films to be repetitive. The Quidditch in the 5th book didn't have a huge impact on the rest of the movie, and having Quidditch again in this movie would just make it repetitive a bit. And accordingly, he said that he wasn't going to have the huge fight scene at the end of this movie because he was going to have the fight scene in the last movie. You know, where all the students, teachers, prefects, etc. are fighting all against the Death Eaters. That's pretty much like the same thing that happened in Book 6, but it was a bit shorter, and there wasn't really much of that happening. What else? The crap load of flashbacks of Tom Riddle have been condensed to only about 2, thank God. And the Death Eaters all attack the Burrow and Diagon Alley and... Wait, what? Okay, now the movies are going crazy. First they take stuff out of the movie, and now they're adding some of their own wacky stuff into this one? Bloody hell! Still, I really don't care what they do with this movie. There was very little action in the book, and I actually had to skip a few chapters to keep me from falling asleep. But as long as the movie stays as true as freaking possible, I'll give it a positive review. Until then, Headbanger signing off. Peace.